A very warm hello to all of you on this mid-September eve. It's time for a championship of wonderful proportions, that being the Porsche Club Sweden SimRacing Championship 2021. My name is James Kirk. I'm joined by Robert Wiesenmüller, and today, Rob, it is our grand final to be held at the legendary Mantorp Park.
Hello everyone, hello James. Yes indeed, we're here at Mantorp Park, once again a racetrack in Sweden, which is very technical actually, especially in the final sector, and we should see a lot of action in the 20-minute race that is coming up with those drivers here from the Porsche Club Sweden.
Yeah, so we got essentially a slimmed down version of our first broadcast that you might remember from a few weeks ago, where we had two groups, each of 12 to 15 drivers battling it out to try and get into the top 12 to qualify for this grand final, of which, as you can see there, we do have 24 entrants, ranging from the likes of real-life Porsche driver Stevan Petrovic to the winner of Group B, Christopher Modin, to the 12-year-old Anton Kornfeld, and of course Bo Dilton, who dominated Group A and is surely a heavy favourite heading into this particular event. We've got 20 minutes of qualifying to come up, a 20-minute race, but to take you round this wonderful venue, we have the legendary esports Sweden driver himself, Christopher Högfeldt.
And we're going to go for one lap in the Cayman GT4, and this is going to be one of my fastest laps. Okay, so start, finish straight. Turn in and brake at the 50 marker, and you're braking for rotation and as much momentum as possible. Come into Paris corner, a double right, aim to go on throttle in the middle, stay tight, don't be afraid to use a little bit of grass and pole curbs on the outside. Full gas until the important chicane here. You're going to go down to second and keeping two wheels on the exit curve to avoid a penalty for cutting the track. We're now out on the drag strip. And this is where most of the overtaking takes place. That's why the chicane is so important. Up in fifth gear. Braking just before the 100 marker. Down to second and keep it close to the inside. And early on the throttle without losing any traction. Fourth gear. Going in place fast left-hander. Release throttle just enough to aim to the far left before braking between 150. Don't want to go too far out on the outside curve to keep momentum. Third gear. Going into last corner, brake just before 50 marker. Release, brake for rotation and early on the throttle. Now we are back at the start finish and made one lap around Mantorp Park.
Yeah, thanks a lot to Christopher for providing some insight. He knows how to drive around this track because he won the time attack competition that was hosted earlier this year by Porsche Club Sweden, which was open to the public, and I think a few of you in the chat here have also participated in this time attack competition. Christopher was the fastest. He took you around one lap here with the 1 minute 18.5 it was. And here the fastest drivers are already in the 1 minute 19, so it's not a big gap.
No, absolutely not. And judging by the fact that Högfeldt is a GT Masters esports driver, so not exactly a slow coach even amongst his own alien kind, to be able to get even close to his sorts of times is incredibly impressive. And so a 119.8 is the fastest that we're seeing right now. And this is real-life Porsche driver Stevan Petrovic. Now, interesting group stage for him, Rob, wasn't it, where he went onto pole position, basically led the entirety of his race, and in the dying stages was overtaken by Christopher Modin, 40 years of age, plenty of experience behind him, and he won't be wanting a repeat of what he saw a few weeks ago.
I'm not sure if it was at the end, wasn't it in the beginning? I think it was the other way around, that he was chasing down Christopher Modin the whole race, but passed in the beginning, if I remember correctly. Either way, he definitely has seen enough of Christopher Modin, and we're still waiting for Christopher Modin, who's not on the server. Once again, it was the same thing last time.
You are absolutely right. I remember it now where Modin was very aggressive at the beginning, wasn't he? Managed to nick the lead off him, and then Petrovic was just staring at Modin for basically the entire race. No, you're absolutely right on that one. So 7 will, again, I think the sentiment still stands. He won't want a repeat of its group stage, finishing second rather than first, especially when you've only got one race to do your business. I think that he'll be hoping for not just a better start, but a strong performance throughout as well. But talking of strong performances, well, Group A, as I've already alluded to, was absolutely dominated by Bo Dilton. 10th clear in qualifying for Group A, and that showed in his race pace as well, didn't it?
Yes. And it's very interesting to see how his race will go here, because the thing was, he was almost unchallenged in the race. He didn't have to fight like Petrovic did, like Modin did in the second group. He kinda had a bit of pressure from Anton Kornfeld in the beginning, and then he drove away, and then he just could drive the race how he liked it. But I think this time it will be a little bit harder, because the gap between him and Petrovic is less than a tenth.
And I think Anton provides a good segue, doesn't it? We've seen there Bo Dilton, age 57. We've got Petrovic, age 40. You know, we have some elder statesmen, shall we say, coming in at, I think it's 64 years of age, isn't it, the eldest? Anton definitely on the other side of the scale, Rob, being only 12 years old. The phrase goes that they don't make them like they used to. Well, with esports, it's kind of the other way around. It seems that every new generation of driver that comes through just gets better and better.
Yeah, he's looking super promising, not only when it comes to the PCS SimRacing Championship, but in terms of sim racing in general, I would say. Big talent here on the grid. And we have a little bit of lag there. Let's hope it sorts itself out for him. But yeah, he was looking really promising, and he's in the 3rd position right now, in the practice mode as well. So who knows if he can even finish on the podium here in the final.
Now, we do have a bit of admin to go over as well if you were interested in the results from the groups, and it pertains particularly to Group B, where we do have an exchange of who actually got a podium and who didn't. Kleis Vesch was the man who finished 3rd on the road when it came to Group B, but he had an incident with Emil Andersson, received a time penalty, thusly promoting Andersson into that podium position. And I think Group B, we absolutely loved the battles that were going on. It was definitely a far cry from what was quite a quiet Group A, actually, but some of the drivers going a little bit over the limits, certainly. They've got a bit more space here, though, don't they, Rob? I mean, Mantorp Park definitely a little bit wider. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Croft from the UK, with the exception, of course, of the drag strip, the massive back straight that we find ourselves going on to here. It's long, it is very wide indeed, and it is not unheard of to see 2/3 wide heading down into that hairpin at the end of it.
Yeah, absolutely. The hairpin here, probably the best overtaking opportunity. And it's quite a feature on Swedish tracks to have a drag strip. It's the same at the Scandinavian Raceway, also known as Understorm. But I think it provides for the action, because otherwise the tracks are pretty tight, but with this long drag strip you can really go drafting. Maybe we will see even some drafting in the qualifying. That could be interesting.
Yeah, possibly. There is also a long run up to turn 14, a long run down to, well, I say turn 14, it's actually turn 11. We don't have the chicane variant here today. There's also a long run down from 12 into 13 as well. So there are plenty of overtaking opportunities. I mean, turn 1 here as well, quite similar to Zolder in Belgium, I find as well. But as we head into 20 minutes of qualifying, let's also take a closer look at the vehicle that is going to be utilized. I mean, of course, it is a Porsche, but the Porsche in question is the 718 Cayman GT4 Club Sport. And the best way that we could describe this last time out, Rob, was it is a car that is difficult to tame, even if you are going fast. It likes to kick the tail out quite a lot, so a real bull of a machine to try and tame, but once you do get the pace out of it, hugely rewarding.
Yes, definitely. We've seen it, that it's not easy to drive it, especially over race distance once the tires drop off a little bit. It just gets very twitchy. But I think now with the race of experience for all of these drivers, it can only go a little bit better than in the first attempt. And I would say the track is maybe a little bit easier, but there is this one left-hander in the final sector, which is super difficult. So who knows if everyone can, you know, finish the race without having an incident.
So, if you are unfamiliar with RaceRoom qualifying standard procedure, then let us enlighten you. You see that timer at the top? That is how long the drivers have got to set their laps. And do not be fooled. There is no, once the timer hits 0, you get a chance to finish the lap that you're on. You got to time it to the timer. So once it hits 0, that's it. Session over. So it's not necessarily unfair on the drivers. They've just got to keep an eye on when they are arriving at the line, and ultimately when they're exiting the pits as well. If they want to abandon a lap, they can pull over to the side safely, of course, and escape directly back to the pits, so they don't have to drive into the pit lane or anything. They can immediately get back out onto the road and hopefully improve their time, as we're on board with Bo Dilton here as he sets off on his first hot lap.
Yeah, he was the first one out of the pits as well, so he really found a nice spot, clear empty space here. Using a bit of the grass there, that's definitely a fast line. In this corner you have to be careful that you don't trigger the cut detection. It's kind of strict on the left side. Now onto the long straight.
And so just for the people at home, when you talk about cut detection, could you enlighten us a little bit about how the penalty system here works in RaceRoom?
Yeah, so basically there are multiple systems working hand in hand. If you cut the track, there's an automatic slowdown penalty, so you have to give back the time gained, or in qualifying it will just invalidate your lap. So you have 60 seconds to give back the time you gained. But then you also pick up an incident strike, and there's a limit of 60 incidents. You get them if you make contact with other cars, you get them if you hit the wall, you get them if you cut the track. And if you reach 60, then you are disqualified. And then, of course, the game can do a lot, but it can't do everything. There's also the possibility to write a protest after the race. This is what happened in the case of Verge and Andersson. And then the stewards will become active. Let's see if that will be necessary. We hope not, of course. And Bo Dilton here with the very first time. 1 minute 20.1, so I don't think he will be happy with that.
No, we are expecting a mid 119 as our pole position lap. We see Anton Kornfeld there as well at 1.5 seconds off the pace. So a lot of sighter laps going on, and maybe fair enough. Mantorp Park, if you do make one mistake, you are going to find yourself in a spot of bother, so best to get a banker lap in.
And you can see here with Petrovic, his lap time didn't count, so he must have got the track somewhere.
He's going to have to go around again, but these cars can fuel up, can't they? I mean, certainly if we were to run a longer race with these cars, their fuel tanks, their tires can last the distance, right? They can go for about an hour or so.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of fuel, the 20-minute race will be absolutely no problem. Also, no one will have to pit for tires. But, you know, just finishing... Oh, look at that. Carl Stender. That's a surprise.
It's a purple sector 2. And ultimately a green first and third sector. That puts him P2. Although, that said, he's now fallen a little bit further behind Bo Dilton, who we can just see there in the background. He's gone into the 119s. It's a 119.983, so slowly ramping up. And if you are brand new to racing or sim racing in general, the colors, they're very pretty, aren't they? But they do have meaning behind them. A purple sector is the fastest across the entire session. A green is a personal best. And, well, if there is no color there, then they're probably not going to be going any faster on that particular attempt.
That's exactly right. And we're still waiting for some colors here at Stefan Petrovic. Let's see what it says. It says nothing for us. And that's not a good sign.
And that suggests he's cut the track in Sector 1 already. I mean, good news for him, at least, Rob, is that it's a long qualifying session, as long as the race will be. So he's got time on his side to set a lap. But obviously, whilst the likes of Bo Dilton and Carl Stender are getting into the groove already, I noticed Russell there heading up into P3. He's having to almost reel back on what he's doing just to set a legitimate lap time.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think it will do great things to his confidence for the race coming up. Dilton there was on a good lap, but he ran into a little bit of traffic. Andersson actually the fastest one out there right now. who's currently on the lap.
Of course, inherited a podium in Group B after an incident with Kleisversch.
Yeah, you say inherited, but of course he was running on a podium place before he got punted.
Yeah,
so
it's very true, very true.
up to P5 now.
And through the start curve, and don't worry, I've got these corner names. With a lot of these club circuits, they tend to have corner names, which is nice. You've got Start, you've got Paddy, you've got Chikanen, you've got the Strippen, of course, the drag strip, Nolby, Depar, Clone, and F2 before the final couple of corners. As on the inside there of the chicane is Anders Berntsen, who currently languishing down in P22. And I like that his timer is still going, Rob. Very optimistic, but it's going to be quite a few seconds off the pace if he chooses to complete the lap.
Yeah. So Anders was very lucky to get into this this round because he's replacing P.O. Pettersson, the father of Rasmus Pettersson, who couldn't drive even though he qualified because he's sharing the simulator with his son.
We do have the other father-son pairing, though, of the Cornwells. We have to apologize. It is such a unique name, isn't it? And it's so difficult to pronounce for anybody who's not used to pronouncing it. But good to see Johan up there in the top 20, of course. 24 drivers on the grid to set a lap time. And we're heading towards the halfway stage. It's still Bo Dilton on top, and nobody really getting close to a 1:19 as of yet, with the exception of Petrovic, who's finally gotten a legitimate lap time in. It's 0.3 off Mr. Dilton.
Yeah, but this looks now a lot better for him than it used to. Decent time here, decent performance. And Modin has proven you don't need to be on pole position if you want to make it work.
Well, speaking of Christopher Moden, down there in P5, still time to find. The top 10 currently separated by 1.9 or so seconds. That is a healthy margin, I would say, to the front. A lot of time still on the table for a lot of these folks. Here's the lovely Johanna Matsvel. She was getting very involved in the midfield battle in the group stage, and it was great to see as well. She's got a good turn of pace, couple of mistakes here and there, and if she's able to cut those out here in the grand final, potentially good result on the cars. Let's see where this lap puts her through the final corner and across the line. Green first sector, green second sector. We're looking at maybe a top 20. In fact, it is P20 on the money.
Just about. I think there's a little bit more possible for her. We have to go here to Christopher Modin because he could move up to second.
That's looking positive, isn't it? 2.5 tenths off once he hit the middle sector. The third sector's good, and it moves him up to third. 4 and a bit tenths off Dilton, and it is looking incredibly tight between the top 5, isn't it, Rob? Once you get past Dilton, second to fifth separated by 1.5 tenths.
Yeah, very close, and we've seen it especially in Group 2, that it stays this way in the race. There are lots of battles. With Carlsen, he was involved in a big battle last time out. This time only P16. I think he was maybe hoping for a little bit further up the field. But still some time to go, not even halfway through the qualifying session by now.
Yeah, still got 50 seconds until then. Looking at Anton at the moment, Rob, looking at Anton and thinking, you know, this kid's fast. Maybe a couple of mistakes, looking for a slipstream. We were talking about that going into the qualifying session, weren't we? That some of these drivers might look to get a little bit of help down the main straight. And is that his dad?
Yeah, it is.
In front, it is. You gotta love the father-son duo here, as he's still trying to pick up slipstream. Oh, and a bit of a four-wheel drift there. Anton, to be fair, has actually messed up in sector 2, so he's not going to have a legitimate lap time on this occasion. Getting very close with his father. It's a take your son to work day, and Anton is set free as with half the session left he tries to get within a second of Bo Dilton.
Yeah, I think especially for him, we've seen in practice that there's a lot more possible in the qualifying session. Down to P8 now. Milovan moving up to P7. That's the car right behind him.
Yeah, had to navigate his way through all that, didn't he, as Johan returns to the pits. And maybe let's go on board with Anton here. See whether we can find out where the problems currently are. That's a decent sector 1, but you can already see that he's some 4 tenths off.
I think I see a problem, and that is that he's sharing the internet connection with his dad. And you could see it with lagging a little bit here once again.
Oh, yeah.
that doesn't make it easier for him. I think Peter Brochon just moved up to P7.
But would that not just affect his perception of the other drivers around him, or would that actually affect like where he's thinking he should be braking and where he's ultimately getting on the gas pedal?
Well, I think it will affect how he can see the other cars. And right now there are not really any other cars to see, so it shouldn't be a problem. But once he's in a pack, it makes it really difficult for him to race and also for the other drivers to race with him.
So it's currently 6/10 off by the second sector. Kornfeld, I believe, should at least be getting up to P7 if that third sector is anywhere near the pace.
Stay with him for the end of the lap there.
Yeah.
P7.
There we go, P7. That's better. I would still hope that he'll get within a second, but obviously suffering with issues as his dad shares the internet connection. Bo Dilton leading from Christopher Modin.
Yeah.
Carl Stender, really the standout for me at the moment, Rob. Stender up in P3, brilliant effort.
Yeah, also Malmgren in P5. He was the driver who was not part of the time attack competition, who entered late. And now on a P5 here, that's looking pretty good. And I think he's in P5 because we're missing Petrovic.
We are missing Petrovic. You are absolutely correct. Now, his time is banked, Steven Petrovic, but he's going to want to get back into the session before it ends. Otherwise, we will be heading to the grid without one of the favorites for at least a podium.
Yeah, let's hope the game remembers this time. I'm not sure if it does, but that's all. That only matters anyway if he manages to come back. All other 23 drivers are on the server, so we have a full grid otherwise. But something must have gone wrong for Petrovic there.
Disconnections, they are very much the engine failures of the sim racing world. And Hampus Bear there. It's nice. It's round. Exactly 2 seconds off Bo Dilton's pole time, which, by the way, he has improved, albeit marginally, from a late 119.9 to an early 119.9. And Hampus Bear obviously had this last lap invalidated, but he's going to go again. And not much time to find, Rob, to sneak himself inside the top 10. That's where Kleis Versch currently sits.
Yes, indeed. Now, I think now you really have to be on your lap, because as you mentioned earlier, you can't finish your lap once the timer hits 0. So now you want to get out, and now you want to start your final stint. And Dilton, he's sitting in the pit lane, so he must feel confident.
Or he just feels that he can't go any faster.
Yeah, but I think he did go faster in practice, didn't he?
Well, would the session, like, would the track temps be different, or is it the same sort of session details that we're talking about here?
Yeah, it should be the same temperature. It should be the same grip level, so I don't see any reason why he can't replicate that time. But it looks like he's happy with the 1 minute 19.9, and why shouldn't he be? He's still in pole position right now.
And still, of course, 3/10 clear. That's the big one. I want to lock up there for we can see that unfolding pretty badly as Tobias Malmgren comes steaming in, probably not under his control, I'd say, in that particular situation, and quite ruined his lap at that as well. He was 1.1 off from Sector 2. I think the timing beam is as you hit that corner, though, so a little bit unrepresentative. Still 1.2 off Bo Dilton, but I think Malmgren there really pushing the edges of his ability to drive the car. Ooh, a bit deep here as well from Kleis Versch. But tell you what, that second sector, Rob, that's not too shabby at all. And if Kleis Versch can keep on this sort of track, then at least the top 5 should be in his sights.
Yeah, I think he lost a bit in this corner because he entered it faster, and that's why his second sector appears to be a little bit faster than it really should have been. But it's still a good lap. He's still on for an improvement, that's for sure. Maybe around where Anderson is.
Kleis Versch across the line. Kleis Versch into P5.
Or even quicker. Even quicker than that.
Still over a second away from Bo Dilton, but P5 is a very admirable place to be. And Christopher Modin knows that if you get aggressive at the start, if you can catch someone napping, If you can defend for the rest of the race, then it is all on you. But dearie me, Christopher Modin could not have chosen a worse time to enter the final sector here. Traffic everywhere. He goes very deep into the hairpin to try and make it. Does really well with the tools at his disposal, to be fair to him. And he is going to pick up a little bit of slipstream out of the final corner here. Christopher Modin, he was a 10th off in Sector 1. He was 2/10 off in Sector 2. I fear there's going to be no improvement here in Sector 3, however. And indeed, there is not. He remains P2 and by some margin.
And it looks like he's more practicing his race lines there. Maybe the same strategy as in the first race. Because, I mean, that was never gonna work when he's coming up to this pack. He's never gonna improve his qualifying time. But maybe he's gaining some experience where he can go past the other drivers. Because that's exactly what he did in the first race. And that is a good first sector. Oh, and we lost another driver there.
We did indeed. We have lost...
Malmgren, I think.
Malmgren, yeah. And that is worrying. That is worrying. We still haven't seen Petrovic return to the session either. So 3 positions potentially for those behind. Christopher Modin into Molby. Oh, and look at that. Look how much time Bo Dilton gains in Sector 2, Rob. It is incredible the pace that he carries through there.
Yeah, I think he must have had a really good chicane. Chicane
Maybe a bit of
isn't easy.
slipstreaming.
Yeah, we didn't see his last lap there where he improved. It's possible.
Christopher Modin just looking for an improvement at this point. Any improvement to further solidify this P2 that he's currently nestled in. Comes across the line, and that is an improvement from what I can see. Although not translating into a faster lap time. If it was, then yeah, I guess
definitely around the same margin where he was before.
It must have been milliseconds if he was faster.
Traffic once again.
He's been unlucky, hasn't he? And held up at the chicane. You don't want to be held up there. And I think that is probably Christopher Modin's session.
Yeah.
Done and dusted, honestly.
So Malmgren is back on the server, but his time didn't stand. So even if Petrovic comes back now, he has to start from the back.
Oh, that is a shame.
And that is a good first sector here from Carl Stender.
What? That's not just a good sector. That is a blisteringly fast first sector. A 10th up.
Oh, he's still up.
Dilton, and he's still up.
Oh, but there's traffic ahead.
Oh, Carl Stender, I hope that this traffic does not make your life hard. This is an insane effort from the man in the blue, in the purple, white, and yellow. Yeah, the traffic has come at not the best time, but not the worst either. Carl Stender at least looking to overtake Christopher Modin here for P2 for a spot on the front row of the grid. He's going to get a little bit of slipstream. Across the line he goes, and it's not even an improvement on his original time. Traffic has ruined Carl Stender's lap.
That's a shame. That's a big shame.
That could have been pole.
Ooh, Tobias Malmgren here in the battle with either Milovan or Sterner. I don't think Malmgren will get a time in, and I don't think we will see Petrovic, because the timer has almost reached 0.
That does make the race upcoming then a little bit more interesting. Interesting from Bo Dilton's side. He's got one less major contender to deal with. Although Christopher Modin on the front row, we know what happened when he last qualified in P2. And for the rest of the grid, no Petrovic to deal with. Malmgren now marooned at the back. And so that's one less guy that they're going to have to deal with. But perhaps expected then. Bo Dilton on pole position for the grand final race by some 3/10, although Christopher Modin, and in particular Carl Stender, with some latent pace untapped due to one reason or another. Could we see a repeat of the Group B race where the man who sets up on pole position ultimately concedes, or are we going to see a repeat of the Group A race where Bo Dilton romps off into the distance, never to look in his rearview mirrors?
We will find out in just a moment here. Yeah, less than a minute until the race starts. So James, who's your favorite?
Oh, it's got to be Bo Dilton, right? I mean, he already showed great pace in his group stage, and we were looking at his overall race time versus the likes of Petrovic and of Modin. And okay, Modin and Petrovic were in close combat with each other for a lot of that race, but Bo Dilton's he's got an aura of calm around him, Rob. He's got an aura of calm that makes me think that he is going to be successful here. It is the Porsche Club Sweden SimRacing Championship 2021, and that's the jump start to end all jump starts. Granholm, oh dearie me, that is going to be a drive-through immediately, as off the line, Bo Dilton is unchallenged through the start curve, he's unchallenged through the Paris curve, and there is drama at the back already. But no more drama than for poor old Andreas O.H. Granholm, who's going to be either laughing or in tears, maybe both.
That's a shame, but it can happen so easily, and we've also seen the incident there in the first corner with Broshon. Spun around, Petrosson dropping back, Carlson dropping back as well. It all played into the hands of Bo Dilton, of course, who's got a nice gap.
Of note as well, we noticed that Russell has managed to jump Karl Stender at the beginning here as well, up into P3 as... that's very deep braking from Anton Kornfeld, who will, of course, be a little bit disappointed to be down in P8, jumped by Milovan, who's up into P7. Here's Hampus Bear, who was very much just gifted a top 10 with the exit of Petrovic. Kornfeld there getting a little bit congested, but ultimately Milovan going deep has allowed Kornfeld into P7 there, and looks like Sterner is going to make his way through as well at the end of lap 1 though, Rob. It is a fast and furious race so far. Dilton leads from Modin, Russell, Stender and Versch.
We can't look away from this battle because Kornfeld just made a mistake. In the final corner, he's getting passed immediately by Sterner. He's trying to fight back, he's pushing. Oh, he's going wide there as well. Maybe a little bit over-motivated.
That is youthful exuberance, Rob. He saw a gap, he went for it. Perhaps he should have just filtered in behind, and he was down to P8, he was up to P7, and, well, he's now down to P9 as Milovan and Sterner, and that is round Karl Stender! Oh, no! Oh, Karl Stender. We saw this man almost head onto pole position, and I can only imagine he lost it under his own volition. Those curbs can be deadly in the chicane. Well, he is nowhere near the front now. What a shame.
So it can go in just one race, 20 minutes. I mean, obviously, there's a sprint race and there's the next car around. That's Hampus Bear.
And well, we were talking about Johanna and how much she could potentially influence this race. What a great start for her. She was nowhere in the mid-pack, but now up into the top 10 and threatening Jan Anton Kornfeld as he's up into P7 now. What? Oh, it's Johan, sorry, that she was with. Anton back up into P7 coincidentally. And
but he's
also
still in the battle.
He's found the grass again. And there's Johansson and Matsveld going side by side. Looks like Johansson a little bit forceful, as Johanna forced outside of the top 10 once again.
Plenty of action here, hard to keep up. And there's the next car around, and that's Johan, I think.
These cars can bite. These cars can bite when you least expect it. But let's also have a shout out, Rob, to Tobias Malmgren there. For whatever reason, had to leave the server, whether it was the internet or otherwise. And Tobias Malmgren is... Oh, is there another crash there? I think it's Verlander there. He's up into the top 10 already, just by keeping his nose out of trouble.
It was Johansson here. Up into the barrier, and this very hectic start. Kinda made us lose track at the front, but Bo Dilton, he's doing everything that we expected from him. He's clearing into the distance, driving away. And Christopher Modin, he couldn't make a aggressive move on the first lap like he did in the first race. This time, he's not looking like he's in a position to really challenge for the lead.
Oh, that Cayman looks so beautifully balanced in the hands of Bo Dilton. But Christopher Modin keeping him honest. He's not exactly out of sight and out of mind. 1.7 seconds behind. And Russell there pretty close as well. Only 3 seconds or so away from the leaders. And your top 10 as it stands now, outside of those top 3, include Versch's Broschen there dives down the inside. And oh, looks like also Carlson's round again, but it's a Versch in P4, Anderson P5, you know, Sterner, Anton Kornfeld, and Johanna Matsfeldt was out the top 10 after a brilliant start. She's now up into 8th because of all the drama ahead of her. And Tobias Malmgren, again, a reminder, started at the very back of the field, Rob, and he's up to P9 already. A monumental effort so far.
Yeah, brilliant recovery drive from him, just benefiting from the mistakes of the other drivers. And this is an interesting battle, Versch versus Anderson. This was exactly the battle where the race direction had to step in last time and handed out a penalty for Versch. This time he's ahead of Anderson. What's Anderson gonna do?
Not close enough for my money yet to really start to pressure, and Russell certainly doing really well as well. Russell was, I think if I remember correctly, P4? Yeah, it was P4 in Group A, so he didn't even get a podium in his own group stage, and yet here he is, very comfortably ahead of Klaus Versch, who we're on board with now, and looking back, and actually Russell, if my eyes don't deceive me, Rob, getting closer and closer to Christopher Modin, Johan Russell, the underdog really. The horse that everyone is quite eager to back because of the large odds, so to speak.
Yeah, he's definitely getting closer, and there's a lapped car. I think that's Gronholm, who had the penalty. Now he's right ahead of Modin in the chicane, and that definitely brought Russell even a bit closer. He got a bad exit from the chicane. And now, of course, he doesn't have quite as good as the draft, but he's still close, less than a second.
And we see Gronholm there. You'd think that with a drive-through penalty that he'd be right at the back. No, Carl Stender, unfortunately, right at the back, and Modin doesn't just go wide. He takes a little dip into the gravel as well, and that pressure from Russell and the traffic ahead has ultimately concluded in Russell taking the position here for P2. Bo Dilton's going to be laughing, Rob. His main threat, so he would think, is now one further place behind.
That was good driving from Russell there. Just waited for the mistake of Modin and just got the position, just got through. And let's see if Modin has a response. That's Gronholm, of course, letting him through for the second time. But we know that Modin can race, we know that he can pass. We've seen it at Gelleråsen, which is much, much more difficult to pass at than at Mantorp Park.
Modin, you can tell from the body language of the car that is someone who is not happy to be in the position that they are in. As there's a position change there, I think that's Anderson and Kornfeld once again exchanging positions. Malmgren now up into P8, just gotten past Johanna Matsfeldt. And looks to me like that was through Krone, and Johanna Matsfeldt has just found herself making close acquaintance with the Porsche logo. That could not have worked any better if she had tried.
Yeah, now you know that it's just CGI. The Porsche logo is not actually there.
Well, still in the top 10 though, Johanna, but that's a mistake that might haunt her, especially down the drag strip. Not a great exit from the chicane. And there is Karls Ullberg ready to pounce for the top 10. Johan Kornfeld in the back as well, just waiting for another mistake. As round the outside, potentially Christopher Modin. This is up at the final corner. Great traction around the final corner there from Christopher Modin. Heading towards the start curve, and side by side, you can see the acceleration simply better. And Johan Russell, safety the better part of valor for him, concedes position. And maybe feistier drivers would not have done so, Rob, but Russell's in a podium position. He'll be quite happy with that.
You can see here with Versch and Anderson that it's possible to hold the inside line there.
Ooh. That's close, we'll call it, from Emil Anderson, as their fisticuffs from the group stage threatens to reignite once again. Milovan and Ullberg into the top 10 now, by the way. Johanna Matsfeldt, unfortunately, down to P12 as Hampus Bear moves past her as well. But there's a tasty scrap. Anderson gaining the podium, or rather regaining the podium after contact with Versch. Battle for the ages, this one, in the Porsche Club Sweden.
Yeah, and how they found each other again. It's remarkable. It was very similar pace. And we have seen that Anderson. He's looking quite aggressive. Yes, indeed.
Very nice line through Krone, but not enough purchase into F2 to be able to make anything stick.
Stender, meanwhile, has retired from the race. Gronholm is still going, but he's a lap down, of course, after his drive-through penalty. And there's Ulf Karlsson trying to get past Lars Johansson, which we can't even really see from this angle, but there he is.
Very defensive line. And I love the rundown to this hairpin to Mjolby.
Karlsson!
Well,
that was too late.
I was going to say, it's nice because you're running downhill and you can lean in on the brakes more. Looked like Ulf Karlsson forgot which pedal was the brakes.
Maybe he couldn't see his orientation point. Maybe he had one on the inside and there was the other car. It can happen so quickly. Now he's down to P20 and that's a ruined evening for him, I would say. So much potential shown in the semi-final and now it really didn't go as planned.
Oh, and look at Versch there moving to the inside, looking to try and break the toe of Emil Andersson. And they do make contact once again. That is too late on the brakes. And Emil Andersson, well, it was very much a gun and run the other way around in the group stage. His revenge, a dish best served cold. Well, I feel like that sort of revenge is going to be dished up with a penalty by the end of the race if he doesn't give the position back.
That was a hard hit, and that was pretty much exactly the other way around in the last round. And all of this has really helped Anton Kornschall to get back into a position here where he could maybe challenge, he could definitely challenge for P4, maybe even for a podium.
Oh, I think a podium might be a little stretched too far unless we see a mistake from one of the top three, Rob. 10 seconds currently separating third from fourth and only 8.5 minutes left on the clockers. Well, a rare sight. Robert came in for a pit stop.
Yeah, Carlson there repairing the damage. He hit the fence, of course, at the end of the long straight, so definitely some repairing to do.
Good to see him still going, though.
Yeah, let's hope the mechanics are working quickly here. Get him back out on track. Bo Dilton, meanwhile, if you look back from his car, you don't see anyone else.
I think we got our answer to the question which I posed at the beginning of the evening, Rob. Is it going to be like Group A or Group B today? Well, it's currently looking like Group A. 5 seconds, or lion's share of 5 seconds, I should say, on lap 9, heading on to lap 10. And you're absolutely right. No one there in sight in his rearview mirror. As I say, he doesn't need to look back. He's so comfortable with his own car that he just strolls off into the distance. Makes it look easy.
Yeah, definitely. Versch, meanwhile, has lost another position. Sterner has now gone ahead of him. Holmgren in 8th, then Milovan, and then actually a pretty close battle for the final spot in the top 10. Christoph Ullberg versus Hampus Baer, who's coming up the inside.
That's the sort of move that you'd expect in less realistic sims, Rob. I'd probably say on that one.
That was an insane move, because he was sliding down the inside, and then he just blocked the run of Ullberg. That was a wild attack there from Hampus Baer, but he's rewarded with the place in the top 10.
I'm going to say, I think I'm just lost for words because it actually worked out for him. We've already seen a car get acquainted with the fence down in the gravel trap, and now we've seen someone manage to stick a move as Val Lattinen here down in P16, battling away with Emil Verlander, who's not having the best of evenings either. There's Petter Broschen as well, who was early involved in an incident, of course, found himself the wrong way around at turn 1. Another evening where potential not going to be fulfilled.
Yeah, it's a shame, but it can happen so quickly, as Gronholm here proves. Especially when you have the dirty tires from picking up the gravel.
Oh, it must stick inside your head, Rob, right? Like, not even a mistake at the first corner, a mistake immediately off the line. Is it impossible to recover from those sorts of situations?
If it's just a 20-minute race, essentially it is impossible to recover from it. He can just hope that for the next season of the PCS SimRacing Championship, he won't repeat that mistake.
Valuable learning lesson as he's doing his back marker duties well. Moving nice and safely over to the inside. And what of Christopher Modin? Well, again, I'd say it's been a respectable race, Rob, but unlike his group stage race, he never even got a sniff of the leader, really. It was as solid a start as could have been asked for from Bo Dilton. And, well, it looks like he's gained a chunk of time. I'm guessing Bo Dilton might have actually made a mistake. I noticed a lot of traffic that we're coming up to here, so maybe that's the cause to the situation that we're seeing here. But Modin just kept at arm's length, really. He didn't even have a sniff.
Yeah, definitely. You can see Dilton here still stuck in the traffic. I think that could be Johansson, I think. And it's just... Oh! Is that Modin?
Oh! That, I believe, is Christopher Modin. And Johan Russell has just jumped up into second place. The back markers, they held up Bo Dilton. But however that occurred, it looked like Christopher Modin either lost it on the outside of the corner, like dipping his wheel onto the grass, or he came across one of the back markers too early. Either way, that is a very dented front end, a face that only a mother could love. And Johan Russell there is just romping off away with his P2.
Yeah, he's almost 2 seconds in the distance here. So a lot of time left on the clock.
It's hard to tell without a replay, isn't it? But either way, the traffic has not played kind with Christopher Modin. As once again, Johanna Matsveld, she just finds herself in every single battle all the time, without fail. Once again, clashing swords with Johan Kornwell there on the edge of the top 10. And, oh, well, where is Kornwell? Whoa! There's that internet we were talking about again, sharing it with his son, currently up in P5. And by the looks of it, Rob, not too far away from Emil Andersson still.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of battles are happening now towards the end of the race here. A bit further back to Ulberg here, under pressure by Broschen now. Only at the front is kind of clear. Oh, but something must have happened here. Where is Johan Russell?
Oh, he's made a mistake.
Unbelievable.
Oh my goodness me, and Christopher Modin must be wiping the sweat off his brow. Johan Russell with a mistake of his own doing. He was in clean air, Rob. And once again, this car shows that you cannot be complacent with the handling. One lapse of concentration and it'll throw you around like you were nobody's business. Christopher Modin somehow finds himself back in second.
It's all happening towards the end of the race. Andersson now also has to worry about his fourth place. Fourth place that he has to worry about anyway, once the stewards get into play. But Anton Kornfeld is definitely looking faster at the moment.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, what was the time penalty for Kleis Versch? Was it, I'm guessing, 10 seconds? Yeah, and I mean, if it's a similar, it is a similar sort of incident with Andersson. And so just by value of keeping close to Andersson, as long as his internet doesn't bug out, oh my goodness. Anton, I hope you get to the end of the race. You could get a fourth place for free here. Side-by-side action. Talking of the man in question, Kleis Versch down the inside of F2 and closes off the door to Mr. Sterner, who's forced to settle for 7th.
That was a cool move there.
Oh, he's going for it. Anton Kornfeld into turn 1. He's already made a mistake here before. No mistake on this occasion. Emil Andersson lets him go. And penalty or no penalty, Anton Kornfeld finds himself in 4th. And oh, is that Russell?
No, I think it's a lapped car.
It is a lapped car, and oh no. Rob, you hate to see it. You hate to see it.
Yeah, you hate to see it indeed.
I believe your countryman in Formula 1 put it best. Blue flags! Blue flags!
And that's the dream of the podium over for Anton there, unfortunately.
Looks like Carl Versch might be getting his 4th place back.
At least 5 seconds behind, but who knows what can happen towards the end of the race here.
As I'm saying, if it's a 10-second penalty, then that 4th place is as good as his. Emil Verlander up the inside of Karls Ulsberg, and he mounts the curbing. Brave from Ulberg to get it around the outside there. Another wide line, giving Verlander so much space to work with. Really respectable battle between these two. And so we have a replay here of Kornfeld there taking P4 before encountering the back marker, yet unidentified. And it was more a mistake. You can see a tank slapper from the back marker. Was there much that they could have done? Maybe,
well, then it's
maybe
contact,
not.
and it's contact again, which sends them around.
It's a difficult one. It's a difficult one. Should the back marker have moved out the way earlier? Is it?
That's the same back marker there.
Yeah. Was it Anton's mistake to get on the gas as quickly as possible to try and rescue that position, which he was inevitably losing? Well, there has been no lost position for Bo Dilton. That is for certain. Pole position in the group stage. Walked it to first place. Pole position in the grand final. And he is walking it to first place in the Porsche Club Sweden 2021 SimRacing Championship season. Bo Dilton is a class above the rest. Bo Dilton wins at Mantorp Park, and by some considerable distance as well. 11 seconds further back down the road. He's been in the wars, but Christopher Modin will convert from P2 on the grid to P2 at the flag, in no large part down to Johan Russell. Couple of mistakes here and there, and P2 may very well have not slipped out of his grasp. Anderson will come home fourth with Kleis Verschin fifth. We'll see how the penalties, certainly from the stewards, figure out on that one. If Anderson is found to be guilty, then those positions could be reversed for a second round in a row. Anton Korsfeld, despite the internet troubles, P7 with Tobias Malmgren from the back of the grid to P8. Brilliant effort from him. Millerman and Burr round out the top 10, Rob.
Yeah, what an action-filled race it was. Certainly more action than in the two semifinals combined. And I'm not sure if it will be all happy faces after this race.
Sure.
Certainly a happy face for Bo Dilton, though. Because he is our champion. And I guess there's no doubt around that. That was a stunning performance. Pole position every time he raced. Dominant performance every time he raced. Never lost the lead once.
It could have been oh so different a story, of course. We saw the mistake from Andreas Granholm at the start to jump start. Ended up 3 laps down, but what of Carl Stender? Purple first and second sectors in qualifying, and then it just all fell apart down to the traffic and a mistake in the race, meaning that he took himself out of the top 5 contention. Was the pace there to have a challenge for a win? Maybe. Certainly being on pole position can make the starts of events so very different, but those are what ifs, Rob. What has happened here today is Bo Dilton has asserted his dominance. The T-pose has come out, and Bo Dilton can be a very happy man. He has won the 21 season.
Yeah, congratulations to him. I think this was a great event, actually, here that we saw. Something different compared to all the other esports championships, where you see, honestly, most of the time the same drivers competing. This time here, all the members from Porsche Club Sweden provided a lot of action, a great show. Some racing situations that you don't normally see in the esports races. But yeah, most of all, 3 exciting races and a great winner with Bo Dilton, who absolutely deserves it.
And a wonderful audience out there as well, whether you're watching from home, whether you're on the move, wherever you've come from for the group stage or indeed the grand final. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you so much for your genuine enthusiasm and support. We hope that you enjoyed the show here today. We certainly have. Him being Robert Wiesenmüller, myself being James T. Kirk, and from all of us here, it is a very warm goodbye.